In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to program the InMail so that the automated attendant has one greeting for regular business hours and a different greeting for nights and weekends. I'll also show you how to customize the dialing options for both of these greetings. Before beginning, I performed a cold start of the SL1100 with the InMail already installed. As a result, I won't demonstrate in this video the basic programming required so that the InMail answers calls. When you program the automated attendant function of the InMail, the first thing you need to do is assign the trunks to an answer table in program 4710. At default, all trunks in the system are assigned to answer table 1. The SL1100 can use up to 8 answer tables to decide how to answer and distribute the calls that reach the InMail. After you verify or modify the answer table assignment for the trunks, you define how that answer table works in program 4712. Each answer table can utilize up to 10 different schedules. At default, Schedule 1 is already defined with information that we can use, but I'm going to review it so that you can make modifications if needed. First, let's look at the answering mailbox type and the answering mailbox number. At default, Schedule 1 of Answer Table 1 uses answering mailbox number 1, and the answering mailbox type is a routing mailbox. A routing mailbox does not take any messages. Instead, it plays a message to the caller and distributes calls based on the buttons the caller pushes while listening to the greeting. You can change the answering mailbox type to a station or group mailbox, but for this demonstration, I'm going to use the default setting of routing mailbox and answering mailbox number 1. Next, let's take a look at the schedule type for this answer table. At default, Schedule 1 for Answer Table 1 is defined as a range of days, which you can define using these two columns. You can also use the schedule type to assign a day of the week or even a specific date. For this demonstration, I'm going to accept the range of days option and accept Monday through Friday as the start and end of that range. Next, I'm going to choose the start and end time when this answer table will be applied. At default, this answer table starts at 8:30 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m. For this demonstration, I'm going to change the start time to 8 a.m. and click the Apply button. During this time period, all calls will be answered by call routing mailbox number 1. If you want to have a different greeting at night and on weekends, you need to go to program 4711 and change the default mailbox number. For answer table 1, the default mailbox number is routing mailbox number 1. As a result, you get the same greeting 24 hours each day. If you need a different greeting at nights and on weekends, you need to change the default mailbox number. For this demonstration, I'm going to change that to 2 and apply the change. After changing the default mailbox number, you should verify the mailbox type in program 4707. At default, the mailbox type for the first 8 routing mailboxes is set to call routing. You can select from call routing, announcement, directory, or distribution. Routing mailbox 1 is the mailbox used by answer table 1, and we just programmed a system so that it sends all calls to routing mailbox 2 when the business is closed at nights or on weekends. Because of that, we will accept the call routing option for both routing mailbox 1 and routing mailbox 2. After verifying or modifying the mailbox type for the appropriate routing mailboxes, you need to go to program 4708 and assign the desired dial action table to each routing mailbox. At default, all of the routing mailboxes use dial action table 1. In addition, they also have 2 timers you can modify: the screen transfer timeout and the dialing command time limit, which allows you to modify the amount of time the SL1100 will wait if the caller does nothing while listening to the message. Because we want to have different dialing options when the business is closed at nights and on weekends, I'm going to assign dial action table 2 to routing mailbox number 2. After making this change, you go to program 4713 and define what happens when a caller dials certain numbers while listening to the greeting. Before going to dial action table 2, Let's review the settings in Dial Action Table 1, which is used during the normal business hours. When a caller dials anything that starts with the number 1, the SL1100 will look for a 3-digit extension and will perform an unscreened transfer to that extension. For security reasons, if a caller dials 9 while listening to a greeting, the system will disconnect the call. If a caller dials 0 while listening to the greeting, the system performs an unscreened transfer to extension 101. If a caller dials star and an extension number, the SL1100 uses the Recording 1 option to send the caller directly to the greeting for that extension. If the caller dials pound and the extension number, the system uses the Log On option to give them access to the mailbox for that extension. And if a caller does nothing, the SL1100 waits for the time defined in program 4708 before performing an unscreened transfer to extension 101. For this demonstration, I'm going to accept the default settings. Now let's modify the settings for Dial Action Table 2, which callers will use at nights and on weekends. For this demonstration, I'm going to duplicate all of the settings from Dial Action Table 1 to Dial Action Table 2 with 2 exceptions. First, when someone presses 0, I'm going to change that to Recording 1 and put 101 in the destination, so that the caller goes straight to the greeting in the personal mailbox for extension 101. Next, I'm going to change the timeout option to Recording 2 and enter 101 in the destination column. This will automatically start recording the caller's message in the personal mailbox for extension 101. One small note: the Go-To option in the Dial Action tables does not send a caller to an extension or a greeting. Instead, it sends the caller to another routing mailbox. Okay, let's review the programming for having 2 distinct greetings for the InMail, one for business hours and one for nights and weekends. First, you verify or modify the answer table assignment for the trunks in program 4710. Next, you define the answer table in program 4712. If you want the callers to go to a distinct greeting at night and on weekends, you go to program 4711 and modify the default mailbox number. Next, you go to program 4707 and define the mailbox type for each routing mailbox you wish to use. Then, in program 4708, you assign a dial action table to each routing mailbox. Last, in program 4713, you define what happens when people dial certain numbers while listening to a greeting. Those are the basic steps you perform in order for the InMail to have 2 greetings, one for normal business hours and one for nights and weekends. Thanks for watching.